Kevin, I want to talk to you. The last time that I saw you in Meat Space was 2000 December to you probably don't even remember this, but 2016, the Rogue One premiere when you gave me a big hug. Do you remember that night?
Absolutely. That's where we met. Like when Mark was like, Gary wants you to be on the Animal Talking thing. I was like, oh, we had a discussion at Rogue One because afterwards I was like gushing about it and whatnot. And then I was like, tell me the Darth Vader story. When did that happen and stuff like that.
Right,
so yeah,
right.
that night, it was a great premiere. That was like one of those flicks where like going in, you were like, well, they're sure spending money on the premiere. So regardless of what people said, like they seem to believe in it. And like, I'll never forget. I was sitting behind Nerdist,
Hardwick.
God. Yeah, Chris. So when that moment happens, when like the lightsaber ignites in the dark and shit, whole fucking audience like erupts, and he reaches and grabs my leg from the row in front of me. It was a pretty big moment. So I remember that night very well.
I remember feeling very emboldened because, I was one of the writers of the movie. Usually there was a lot of people there like Nathan Fillion, like yourself, who I'd never met, but I, as a nerd would love to meet. And so I just felt like I had this, and in fact, it was my line. I think I said it to you. I went up to you and said, Kevin, I wouldn't usually approach you because, I don't want to be like an annoying fanboy or whatever, but like I fucking helped write this movie. So I feel like I've got license to say hello to anyone I want on this particular night. And you were super nice to me. And I said to you, let me know what you think about the movie after the fact. And then I'm actually going to show a little picture right now. Here's you and me at the after party. And like the Darth Vader hockey jersey is a good one. Here's another image. This I think was before we went in to see the movie. But I remember saying to you before the movie, find me after the movie. I really, really want to hear what you think because I know that you're a genuine fan and you love this stuff and you speak very passionately about Star Wars. So it really mattered to me what you thought of this movie. And I remember seeing you at the after party and I just kind of looked at you like, well. And you just came over and gave me like a big bear hug. And it was like, honestly, one of my favorite memories of the night.
It was definitely, well, thank you for that. But it was a hug worthy. Like, again, going into it, people were like, what is this? What's it going to be? And coming out of it, it was like, oh my God, this movie is canon. Like it links into, aside from like what we knew going in terms of like, oh, it's about the people that stole the plans. Like it dovetailed so nicely, gave us some of the greatest Star Wars moments in Star Wars movies ever. And, that's a Johnny come lately movie, man. They're coming to the table 20, 30 years on from when this thing started and stuff. So I thought you all did a great job. And it's also one of those movies that makes a strong argument for collaboration. I've always been it's not something that I necessarily, adhere to or whatever, but they describe people like me as like auteur. Like I write it and direct it myself. And I tend to be kind of like a one-person show. Rogue One was put together by so many hands and turned into this really beautiful project that I remember afterwards being like, you know what, man, there's an argument to be made for having two directors on a movie. There's an argument made for like fucking like let's go back and shoot some more because they turn that movie into something classic and real. Stand shoulder to shoulder with some of the greatest Star Wars movies ever made, and in some circles is more highly regarded, than some of the Skywalker saga flicks. So, that's a magic trick to pull off. And you were right to come up to me that night and be like, this is my night, my day. Rightfully so.
I I remember going up to Nathan Fillion, and I think he gave me some of his chewing gum, and my wife ended up chewing some of Nathan Fillion's gum. That was a highlight of the night for her, as I recall. It was a surreal evening.
We thought Nathan had pre-chewed the gum and then she got the gum, and it was far more exciting when it was that.
Yeah, I mean I would embellish a story and tell it that way, frankly. Kevin knows this. All good raconteurs, all good storytellers embellish. The story of all good stories evolve over time in the telling.
It's that story does get better if it's like ABC gum that come right out of his mouth and into hers. That